Uh, Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll get some additional people. This is going to be part one of two. Part one of two of some South Jersey photos from 2007. It's going to be tonight and tomorrow, so whoever sees this tonight, I'll be back to finish it up tomorrow. It's going to be a 2-day event. It's going to cover some stuff in Philly. If you read the description, I did a little ride about with a railfan friend. We visited a variety of places, including the SMS facility, CP-WOODBURY, the Paulsboro Movable Bridge, and Hook Interlocking. This would have been in early June of 2007, so quite possibly something related to the Memorial Day weekend period. Although I'm not entirely sure when that would have been. You know, maybe I need a Google search here, or not. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll just get this going in just a second. 1 second. I'm going to see when Memorial Day was in 2007. I don't know why I was around. Why I would come home just for, because I don't think this was an actual event. Would have been on Monday. So this was the weekend after Memorial Day. Don't know what was going on. Okay, so first we begin here of me passing through Amtrak's Hook Interlocking. This is just north of the Pennsylvania-Delaware border in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania. I've done some stuff here before with photos of towers and whatnot, but about this time, Amtrak was actually replacing the A5 pneumatic point machines with M3 electrics, one of the earlier interlockings to get this treatment. And I was aware of this, and I would just hear some photos of it off the back of a northbound regional. This is the south end of the interlocking, with tracks 1, 2, 3, and 4 mainline tracks, and then we have this extra on the left of the thing. There is a freight track that would extend both ends of the interlocking to hit the various refineries, and the Chester Industrial Track. This would be served from Edgemore Yard in Wilmington, so it would have a lot of NS. This was in the Conrail shared assets area, but you'd have NS would be would be servicing it from the south. Here we have the other end of the interlocking, and here we have on the one side we have, where is that? The 34 switch, which has been converted to M3 electrics. On the other side, the 21 and the 19 switches, which are still A5 pneumatics. So this was just midway through the replacement project. I'm just trying to figure out how to cut this. There we go. So what is this? The 34 switch. And the 21. This is why I actually sort of circled back around to Hook to see if I could get any photos of the pneumatics in person. Cutting to 30th Street Station, where my train dropped me off, I went to what was probably the then fairly new Circus Center parking deck to get some 30th 30th Street, your generic 30th Street Station photos, where I caught an inbound Atlantic Sea Line train. Interesting, today these are like 5 cars, and with a Comet 5 cab car. In fact, I ran into one earlier, just today. Actually, 2. Just as I was coming in on rapid transit, I narrowly missed a Philadelphia bound one. And then after I left the station, Atlantic City bound one went by. Huh. A lot of cut photos. So this is 41, 49. Probably Comet 4 coaches, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's just take a quick thing on the NJT's roster. On the retired ones, the 40, I'm betting that these are, yeah, here they are, GP40PH-2As, number 4145 to 4150, built in around 1970, acquired by NJT in 1992, and they were retired in 2014, replaced by those new dual modes that they got. Today we tend to see the 2Bs, the 19 2Bs, which were acquired about the same time, but they're still in service. They tend to be shuttled down to the NJT area, the Atlantic City line. Not a lot of those 2As. I'm not sure who rebuilt them. Okay, sorry about that. They look pretty much identical. The ACL is probably the last in line for any new equipment. Here we go. Definitely getting the most out of my... since this is my new camera, I was definitely starting to enjoy my new enhanced 10x zoom versus 3x zoom on my original little handheld digital camera. Or non-DSLR, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, this one's departing. It's departing for Atlantic City. That's why it's getting smaller. Not sure why I didn't keep that first one. This was before Amtrak started removing the pneumatic switches at Penn as well. So it's probably a good reason to sort of get a little bit more of the interlocking than I had back in the original cut. So here we have the Ray Street engine facility. Definitely, I mean, I just got some photos. There's like 5 of the new Acela 2s in there right now. Back in the day, I didn't really, again, this is when I was still figuring out my naming convention. Today I mention it Amtrak Ray Street, and then I'll just go into all the different units that are there. Sometimes it's more important to make, sometimes things like Ray Street, it's better to group those as a specific location. So here in this photo we have AEM 7 number of 940, a P42 number 98, that also looks like number 96, and number 523, and then I think that's 517, whatever that P32 WH is. So 940, 96, 98, or 98, 96, and 523. Oops. $940. 98, 96, 523, what I think is 517, but I'm not sure. A lot less seeming to go on. This is sort of the nadir of what was going on in Penn Coach Yard. Nothing was being delivered. No more road railers. This yard was just empty at this point. But it ebbs and flows. This is a neat thing. On the West Philadelphia Elevated, a.k.a. the High Line, the real High Line, New York, we have I don't know my CSX paint schemes. I know they all have their little names, usually with YN for yellow nose. I really like that one that 608's in with the blue outline CSX and the gray. Not as fun as that gray and blue with no yellow, but way better than the dark future scheme we see here on 5571. 608's going to be one of those AC 4400s ordered around the year 2000. 5471 is going to be an ES 44, probably AC. I don't think they got any DCs. I could be wrong, though. 5741, all right. Oh, let me see what I called it back then. Good enough. And here we have the Drexel shaft. That's the old Penn steam plant. It was demolished a number of years ago. Very popular with the urban explorers. This was the steam plant, the steam facility for the entire 30th Street Station complex. Because of its proximity to Drexel University, it got that name, the Drexel shaft, even though it was definitely a fully railroad-oriented use. There we go. Oops. Looks like this is another one that I cut. Man, I was really into cutting every little last photo that had an issue. I can kind of see why, but again, now that things really aren't there. And one more. There are recurring threats to build like a stadium or something and cover over the yards here. That would be a huge shame. I don't know what they'd be able to do with the High Line. Here we have 911 and 192 above Ray Street. I did check that before I came over. The Olympus that I used from about 2007 through 2012 really had way better color balance than the my subsequent Canons, which always seem to be on the cool side of things. So I think here we can see between the two here we have 939 and plus 192. Not all the AEM7s got that AC rebuild. Only about like 30 something of the 52 did. Amtrak just ran out of money. Most people don't realize that the AEM7s, they will blindly quote they had 7,000 horsepower. What people say is that they had what they were marketed as 7,000 diesel equivalent horsepower. That meant that their short-term overload was about 9,000 horsepower, whereas their continuous was 4,300. Or they could deliver it in a way that was equivalent to 7,000 horsepower. But as DC units, you're going to have a little bit of overload. That's going to be an AC. You can see how much crap's on the roof versus here, number 911, which I don't think ever got the DAC rebuild. The ACs were the last to go when the stuff was redone. I mean, when the ASC 86s came in. Oops, I'm on. This is the sort of weirdo angle I try to avoid here at Ray Street. Way better to align your camera with a horizon than to do this sort of Dutch angle thing. There we go. It's our first round. So we have any questions in the section? Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know my exact. I'm sure it's not hard to tell what they are. I just never learned my CSX paint schemes. Yeah, Philly's trying to. The Sixers are trying to do one of those downtown arenas. They're trying to demolish a mall that was recently rebuilt. The down thing that people don't realize is that okay, you get it up and 50 years, you're going to have to demolish that again, and then where do you put the replacement stadium? Down in the sports complex, you can put the replacement stadium adjacent to the new stadium in the parking lot. It doesn't disrupt anything. It's going to be a major, massive problem trying to rebuild, replace a downtown stadium. Just like they're in with Madison Square Garden, there's no way they can replace it. It's just going to get older and older and older. Just one of those failure to think of the long-term ramifications. A lot of people in the city are against it, and they elected a NIMBY mayor, so hopefully that'll put the kibosh on it. Alrighty. Here we have an AEM7AC number 934 arriving at 30th Street. Again, I'm going to capture more of the interlocking because of the way that they've the more recent changes. Now we're switching to more South Jersey. Here we have it just south of CP-WOODBURY. Yeah, it should be south of CP-WOODBURY. We'll cut over to show you where this is. For the longest time, until recently, after the collapse of the PRSL and then the general collapse of stuff in the 80s, The only bit, after the collapse of the passenger operations down to Cape May, Ocean City, and Atlantic City, the only bit of signaled railroading in South Jersey was between Enola Yard there and Woodbury. In fact, the Conrail, if you look at the older timetables, it's like a really weird system too. Hold on, let me try to figure this out. There's Woodbury. There's CP-WOODBURY. That bridge that you can see, where was that? Yeah, there's that bridge, that 3-track bridge over Evergreen Avenue. There's sort of a little mini yard south of the city that sort of wraps itself up about there. And if you keep going down, eventually you'll pass a distance signal, the type of distance signal you don't really see much anymore. Approach on Conrail, you have approach restricting and approach normal, which is not the typical approach restricting. This is a distance signal type of thing where you get the, oh wow, they actually like hobbled it. So this would actually give you approach normal and approach restricting depending on what if CP-WOODBURY was pulled up or not. And it looks like they have hobbled it. Yeah, see, in 2013 it would give you both. This is one of the last areas where you would be able to get that. And then between 2013 and 2018, they just didn't care about, that just didn't matter to them anymore. This is a legacy of the old manual block system that was all over South Jersey as the PRSL, as the PRSL sort of retreated. Both them, PR and the Reading, were big users of manual block as opposed to track warrants or train order operation. And you would see, just like in the British, you'd have interlockings, and then there'd be a distant, like a yellow-green distant to a home signal, and the home signal would give you a clear block, and the distant would you go and you get the next distant, and there'd be approach caution or clear. Eventually, this became approach restricting and approach normal, and then at some point in between 2013 and 2018, they're just like, screw this. Actually, it was around 2015. I went out with my mom to visit these locations, and it's been this little approach, this little single mast ever since. I don't think the mast changed. There's 2018. Maybe they did change the mast. They at least ran new wires into it because there's a new junction box. Yeah, and there's your old cabinet. And this was controlled via, I guess it was controlled via a microwave link, going back to CP-WOODBURY. And that link is still there, but I doubt it matters anymore. All right, that's your aside. Anyway, here we are with, now here's an interesting thing that I want to quick check on. Content. An early video of mine, I was just looking at it today, very early video, back in 2008. Oh, it's number 3422, not 3022. Okay, forget about that. Okay, so here we have, I'm almost positive this is an SD40-2, number 3022, here at the Evergreen Avenue Bridge. Let's see what I originally named that. Good enough. Bet I cut this photo back in the day. Very duplicative. Nope. Next. Here we have CP-WOODBURY. So in South Jersey at the time, Conrail was still its own sort of thing. It was dispatched out of Mount Laurel Corporate Center near, in South Jersey. And they ran their own, as opposed to using leased lines because the territory was so small. They just went with their own microwave network. As you can see here, oops, what am I doing? As you can see here, everything has a microwave link on it. And that would hook into stuff in Pavonia. Now, they didn't have an operator in Pavonia, but that's just where the communications base was. And then the dispatchers were were local. Man, I just cut everything. This is crazy. I don't know why I was just cutting this left and right. There's my friend Chuchubob walking there. He's looking way skinnier. So he might have still been, this might have been pre-retirement for him. After a certain point, he gained a bunch of weight, not like drastically. And then he had over COVID, he had some medical issues, and he actually lost most of it, and he's looking pretty good again. Unfortunately, he's one of those friends, I've known him for 20 years, and between now and COVID, he sort of went from, the guy that you know to the guy, I saw him, and it's like, whoa, this guy's getting a little old. Not being, derisive of him. It's just like, oh, yikes. Oh, that's not good. I better do more stuff with him. You got this period of time in your just same happened with my mom. You got this period of time, in your 50s, 60s, and up into the early 70s, and suddenly it just, you can, within a couple of years, you can start looking really yikes. So, if you have anybody that in that situation, do stuff with them. I think that number 2673 is probably a GP40 versus that SD40. I can probably find out. I had a roster thing somewhere. Was it 2640? Oh, it's GP38. Huh, there you go. That can be tough to identify sometime. Oh, let me see what I have this on the original thing. Cool. All right, here we have the front of number 3020. He's in the actively, and these guys are actively shoving. So they had these cut cars south of the interlocking, and they are now shoving north through it. Here you are passing CP-WOODBURY's something signal there. I can actually figure out what that's called, and I'm probably gonna do it. Yeah, I gotta pull that up. I didn't pull up my Adobe. Hopefully it won't take too long. Okay, there we go. And I need my Philadelphia interlocking charts. And Woodbury is sheet 158. Come on. There it is. And number 2S signal. There's some interesting stuff here at Woodbury too. In terms of how some stuff was how a couple things were handled. But I'll go into that later. Oh, that's a problem. You know what? I kind of want to redo that one. 20. Oops, nope, not 22. 2020. There it goes. The reason why I want to redo it is I feel I can get a better crop with less grass and sky. Give it a 4:3 aspect ratio. There you go. Right there. Perfect. Okay. And here we have the next one. It's a pretty nice photo. It's kind of a damp day. Wasn't the greatest, but still pretty nice. This area is still there, but like I said, it got resignaled sometime in the 2015 time frame, so all the position lights are unfortunately gone. After my dad passed in 2015, I went out with my mom. We did a little ride around here. I forget what exactly it was that when we went down there, or why. I think I just had some time. I was around that weekend, and she might have either had a medical thing or I had to go up to deal with crap, and I just ended up going out with her because I had time. This is a nice, pretty, despite the dampness, it's not going to get on railpictures.net, but it's still not a bad photo. That's not what I want. I want to check this. Oh, that's, yeah, it is a GP40. Okay, so it's not an SD. My bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, damn it. Yeah, I cut a lot of photos. Don't know why I was being so stingy at the time. This is about, so, I might have the original thing about this. I'll look around, but I saved out the when I used to have the free web hosting through the College Computer Club, the index page that had or the that would just display like the one I sort of have now. That had dates of whenever I had last modified the folders, and you could sort of see you could I think I have a copy, like I saved out that file for as the service got less and less robust, because I was worried that I was ultimately proven right. But you could go and you can see where it was that I began to fall behind to get to my current year, my perpetual photos are a year behind problem. So okay, anyway, here we have the 2S signal at Woodbury, and it's almost, these are approach lit, so and the trains in this area are very, very rare, especially on weekends. So I would almost never see this displayed anything. In this case, here it's lit up and displaying stop. The reason, so normally all the tracks south of here are in theory DCS territory. So why can it display approach? According to the interlocking sheet, why is this able to display approach and approach medium? That's because under the Conrail thing, when they had those approach signals, that's where the end of block would be. So you could get an approach or a medium approach through CP-WOODBURY, and then you'd have an end of block at those distant signals. Now those distant signals were the PRR variety up until sometime around 2000 or so. Maybe like 2003, 2002. I didn't know that. I should have gone down. Oh God, it's one of those things that I just didn't get it. But and I was down there, but I just never clicked that the distant position lights would still be there. Anyway, I'm betting that you could get you'd get like an approach, and you down to that signal there, or you'd get a medium approach up to that guy. This one looks like it even could give this one looked like it could even give a slow approach, and this signal could was even good for approach slow. This one looks like it would even be good for medium clear. Today it's all slow speed off that one, but it looks like in this case that would have been a medium speed turnout. Only time I ever caught these signals lit up was this trip. I mean, of course, I don't get down there hardly at all. So anyway, the train made the reverse move through the interlocking, and now he's going to shove back, and he gets a restricting indication. This is PR position lights really looked fantastic under rainy conditions. That's what they were designed for. They were designed to be as salient as possible under low light. This is just a beautiful, beautiful, thing that I caught there that day. And we got that one lit up. Some of these might be slightly different signals. I mean, pictures. I'm having to zoom in pretty hard here, or cut in more as the case may be. Yep, here's the one. I got a slightly better angle on it. So, like I said, at this point in time, I do not believe that these ones at Woodbury could display anything besides restricting and stop. the two situations where they would do a medium clear. Again, I can look at the interlocking sheet, and it says that it's not a slow clear. It would flash that red over flashing slash, so that would be a medium clear. Now, I'm not actually entirely sure. I've been to Woodbury, and I'm thinking that southbound signal might actually display some additional things. Let me see if I can go here and pull it out. What the color lights would show. Oops, man, I'm really going slow here today. Here they are. Come on, flip it around. God damn it. So it does look like the new one can actually display approach and slow. Oh, there's a reason for that. Okay. So the new one I think can display approach. So maybe they have an end block. So they maybe it can display approach south of there. I've just never seen it. All right. What do we got here? Let's get some questions. No, I mean the ASC 86s. I don't use the metric designation. They have 8,600 horsepower. The European one is 64 kilowatts. So unless Siemens is going to, everything else is the horsepower designation. They kind of screwed that up. And I don't use metric, so I don't use it for my locomotive stuff. Yeah, Highland did used to be electrified. It was the PR freight bypass of the Philadelphia terminal area. So here we have 3222. Again, this is up by the old station. It's still there. The old PRSL station is there. It was some kind of restaurant for a bit. I don't know what it is today. This is nice because that little puff of smoke, but I'm not sure how to contract it in. That'll do it. Let me check real quick to see what's in that the station building. By the way, if you're wondering, fun fact, not only was that Highliner electrified, would you believe that the route that I'm showing you right now is also electrified? The whole thing here at Woodbury was, I just thank you for reminding me of that. This whole thing here, these three tracks, all of this, up until 1948, it was electrified with third rail down to Millville. And sometime up through into the 30s, it was electrified third rail all the way to Atlantic City. The electrification went in 1906 as part of an interurban. It was a semi-interurban scheme because Atlantic City, which at that time, that was as far as you could get to get people to, a seashore destination. Just like low-cost Ryanair, it was electrified for. That Woodbury thing is a cafe, but it was electrified to get cheap to it was the Ryanair of its day to get people to the shore. And it was the ultimate demise of the electrification was the fact that Up through into the 1940s, they were still using their original wooden rolling stock. Some of it had been updated with steel ends, but after a number of increasing grade crossing accidents and fires, the State Public Utilities Corporation forbade them from using anything except the steel cars, and they only had 18 of those. Those are MP54s. So they kept the service going a little bit, but in the age of the automobile, they canceled it pretty quick. Sort of hung on just past, it was the end of World War II, so who cares? So yeah, I bet you wouldn't assume that not only was this a right-of-way here, 3-track here in this area, but it was also, like I said, electrified. When I can find a picture of the old tower that was there. It was known as Red Oak. Nope, they don't have a photo. I do have a photo in one of my books. But eventually the interlocking machine was moved inside Woodbury Station. Red Oak was a mechanical tower, and then I said at some point the PRSL replaced it with one inside the station. A little tiny interlocking machine. The US Model 14, of course, but it was a tiny one with like 15 levers. Or less. Probably less. What's next? There we go. Ugh. Yeah, this is a nice action shot of 3022 taking the restricting signal at Woodbury. Oh, I don't know why I'm going so slow here. He is moving on to what would become what is now the Paulsboro branch, I think, or what? It's the what do you call it? No, that's not it. The Penns Grove Industrial Track, Penns Grove Secondary. The main thing was the DuPont facility down in Penns Grove, New Jersey, along with an Atlantic City electric plant that got a lot of coal until about within the last 10 years when it closed. That electric plant not only closed, it was demolished, and now it's being turned to an Amazon warehouse, or what I assume is an Amazon warehouse. Sorry, this is going a little long here. This is weird. CAPX 323590. Can't see anything else, so I'm just going to give that a change with a rider. CPAX 35290. We got another one here. I have so many cut photos from this. This is getting really weird with how many cut photos I'm discovering. Right there, I think is what I need. Yeah, because I think I cut this one too. Nope, I didn't. Okay, there we go. Cool. Next. All right. Here we have what I'm assuming is the number 1 switch. It's not listed on the thing, but there's only one. So this, whatever's up with this switch, there's some interesting little features about it. It's built on these sort of steel ties there with sort of covered blades. It seems like it's some sort of weird, either it's anti-vandalism, which is entirely possible because the relay hut is ensconced in a giant protective cage for a town that really doesn't seem to have a crime problem. So either that's anti-snow or anti-vandalism. I have really no clue. But it's always been a puzzlement of why this was like that. I don't think it's like this anymore. I can try to go to hold on. I'm past there. Let's just quick go back to 2010. Oh, 2016. 08-19. Huh. Why was that so close to getting it up there? Alright, whatever. So in 2016, I don't think that switch was there in that mechanism. But I should have a picture of it somewhere. Come on. Come on. Oh, God. Did I not take a photo of it? There it is. Oh, it's the same one. Okay. It didn't change in all those years. Okay, sorry about that. I was just checking. Yeah, I don't know what all that fancy stuff on there is. Maybe, it's there and like nothing, nowhere else. Another interesting thing about this point machine is the fact that it has a cast rounded motor cover. So that right there, this is the drive mechanism. This is your point detection circuitry, and then the motor is located in that housing there. And that's been a sheet metal type box for many, many years. But every so often you'll catch an early one with the original cast covers, this one included. Don't know why, those also will float around in the rehab market. And this thing, once they, it's like it fits just as well as the cast one. So if there's one that gets turned in for a rehab, it might have just gotten sent back out again. But those are incredibly rare. I know there's one at Perryville. There's not a lot. I've almost seen more M2s than I have these cast covers, but I think I've seen a couple more of the cast covers. Like I said, here's CP-WOODBURY. Oddly enough, the battery boxes are outside the cage. That's what people would probably want, where all the scrap value would be. Whatever, I don't know. Again, this is not a bad community at all. Here we have the 2N-2 signal, again indicating that it at least was built with medium speed in mind. Also, you can see bits and pieces from either the old pipeline arrangement. This is where about Red Oak Tower would have been. Either the old pipeline or an air plant. Oh, cool. I can do a 4:3 aspect ratio on this one. Kind of don't want to, but sort of have to. Let me see if I can. I don't tend to do this these days, but I really want to pop the content of that signal there. Cool, that worked. What is it? 2N-2. Nice. Worked perfectly. And here we have the other signal there. This is coming off the Woodbury, the Vineland secondary track. This would go down to Vineland. My dad used to work right off of it. Don't know the point of that begin block sign. Normally for starting ABS, there'd be a begin auto block. At this, originally when Conrail had this going, there was, you'd pass this signal, then there would be another signal, then you'd have you'd pass a reverse direction. It'd be almost like 3 miles to the next interlocking, 3 or 4. So you'd pass, you'd pass an intermediate for the reverse direction. Then you'd go a little bit further and you'd pass, then you'd get your own distant in Glassboro. That'd be the 4, you'd pass, sorry, hold on. This is milepost 8. There's a 7S signal, not 7S it's not controlled. And you go all the way, so you go almost 4 miles on one block. I'm not sure, again, how it was managing that. And then you'd catch a distant to CP Brown. Then Brown would be back-to-back with CP Mill. And then at Mill, you'd be again, the same sort of on the block to an end auto block. So you'd get this manual block caution. You'd be under control of that to CP Woodbury. You'd get a signal. You'd pass the 7S. You'd then hit, go 4 miles to your next signal, 2 miles to CP Brown, 2 miles to CP Mill, and then about a mile to the end auto block. That's how it used to be. It had weirdo rules. I've seen the old 1980s timetable rules, and it's not just 251. It's a different kind of rule. Like I said, because it has this sort of manual block legacy. When by now it was straight just Rule 251. In early 2002, 2003, they axed that 7S and 4S, and they just put a single intermediate signal on milepost 5, and that's still there to this day. The thing that I'm not mentioning is that as oil train traffic increased down to the refineries on the Penns Grove, they fully signaled it all the way down to Paulsboro, and we're gonna go look into that very shortly. I'm sorry for the time here that this is taking. So here's the 2N-1 signal. This one just gives you clear approach and a restricting just in case. And an angle view of 2N-2. I have some good photos of that, and it was beautifully painted when I first encountered it back in the early 2000s. I think when I got my driver's license even, I came down here. I got a nice film photo of it. It wasn't like when I first got my driver's license, I'm not implying that I drove down here as a result of having a driver's license. It was I got my driver's license, and whatever day of the week it was my dad was with me, so we just rolled down here. And here we are at Paulsboro. Today this is CP Paul. And I am going to refer to it as such to unify past and present, even though back then this was not an interlocking. Maybe it was an interlocking. Paulsboro. It's Paulsboro Movable Bridge. I don't know how that counts back then. It was not a CP. I am going to refer to it as such, like I said, to unify my nomenclature. See, I had it CP Paulsboro. Oh yeah, CR, Conrail Paulsboro Movable Bridge. I'm pretty sure it's Paul now. There used to be a TBS down there. Here, let me get out of here. Again, I apologize if this is going a little long. We're almost to our last section. If you go on YouTube, there are some videos of the Paulsboro Movable Bridge. So there's two things, a couple things have changed. Thing number one has changed is that the bridge got hit by like a barge, and they had to replace the A-frame, the ancient A-frame, with something more modern. A little lift bridge that's automated, doesn't even have a dude. Like, crews used to operate the bridge, and it was a super manual process. It didn't even have signals. It had smash boards. Oh, it was so cool. And there's a video on YouTube of the dudes operating the smash boards. If you go to this thing, it's got like literal levers, ground levers, 2 levers for smash boards, 2 levers for slide bar to whatever, 1 lever for the slide, and then 2. So it had 5 working ground levers. By this point in time, Paulsboro Movable Bridge had been fully automated, but the A-frame was still there. By an A-frame bridge, the moving section would just sort of like just pivot 90 degrees, supported by that A-frame. It's sort of a cantilever type thing. The bridge was built in like 1909 and used the same stuff. I did go down here once as a kid when the smash boards were up. I think one of them had actually been smashed, and I just did not realize what it was or how special all that was. But there is a YouTube video that I linked it on my blog. If you search my blog or you search YouTube, I hope it's still up there. It shows the entire process of how they unlock the bridge with these little ground levers. Really cool. Anyway, let me verify that I'm still going by CP. Oh, hold on. I haven't been down there. It's because there's more activity. It's sort of hard to like snoop around the bridge. Oh, this is gonna get me Amtrak crap. Let's see. When was I down there last? I think it was 2015. Where was that? There it is. I guess it's not Paul, it's Paulsboro? Well, there's a block station of Paul. I wonder if I have a newer... I bet I don't, but I might as well look. Oh, it wouldn't be in there. Oh, that's Canadian Pacific. Nope, that's not it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this. And when I by this, I mean an up-to-date Conrail timetable to see what they call it. Maybe it is CP-WOODBURY. Yeah, so it wasn't a barge hit. A chemical train derailed on it, just collapsed underneath it. Maybe Multi-Motorways has it. They have pretty good Conrails. I've seen that they've had some updated stuff. Archives, railroads, Conrail. Timetables. 2013. That'll have it. There we go. Probably does Michigan first. Staten Island. Huh, they do the Staten Island Railroad. Morrisville line, Delair branch. Oh, this would have been before they did this stuff. Penns Grove. Yeah, this isn't new enough. Damn it. Close but no cigar. There's Vineland. Sorry, just checking on real things real quick. Alright, well, I tried to get it. 2011, 2013. Yeah, 2013 is going to be the last one I have access to. Sorry. I guess I'm just going to do CP-WOODBURY. Alright, whatever. See, I don't have access to what it was after they rebuilt it for the first time before they rebuilt it the second time. So yeah, so it was A and B for the two smash boards. All right, sorry for that digression. Okay, we're just going to have one more round, and that'll be it for tonight. Yeah, before, so this is just after it had been automated, but like I said, the crews were doing it themselves. And then we're going to be getting into the SMS stuff. I really gotta get back down to Paulsboro. I went there I took some pictures of the intermediate signals that were getting installed, but here's the old bridge cabin. There was a project I said in the 2000s to automate a lot of the Conrail bridges. To either remote operation or the crews would do it. Love all that Conrail blue we got around here. We have it in this area. But because of the refinery, so after 9/11, this area was definitely a hot spot for getting harassed, especially when you're trying to get photos of like stuff working in and around the refineries. On days, though, on weekdays, there tended to not be much going on, so you could sort of roll down there. But I still don't. It's still a little, still not a thing that I have had opportunity to. But I'm up and down there all the time. I should really just take some time to roll off the road and check it out. But except for the bridge, there's not much there. Alrighty. Oops, wrong place. But if I zoom in on the stuff at Paulsboro, see this giant oil refinery. I think it was a Valero plant. There's an asphalt plant. There's all sorts of stuff down there. See, it is CP Paul. Previous beep, a unique A-frame, blah, 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 blah. Pennsylvania Road. Did I write this? Oh, maybe I did. Bridge suffered interlocking southern end of the signal Pennsgrove branch. Yeah, it was always hard to reach the northern end of it, and the bridge was always open. Wow, a lot of solar going in. There was an intermediate signal right here. And then the end of block is just past CP Paul. Which, again, I can't see. It could also be that the CP is right past. I just can't tell. I can always go and edit that later. It was equipped for hand operation via those big wheels. I don't have any good video of how it operated during automatic mode. I think you just see those wheels spin around and the bridge sort of like rotate outwards. This and there's another swing bridge at Bridgeport. Both of those, they were activated by radio tones. They, just like you're contacting the dispatcher. You'd thumb it in to operate this. Now, some of them might have also had a remote operator. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that the crews would they'd come up to the thing. I think they'd enter the track circuit and then they'd activate the bridge, or something like that. It's such a shame that it sort of collapsed with all the it just sort of collapsed one day, sent 4 tankers into the thing. I'm pretty sure that the current had just slowly been undermining it, and then with all the increased traffic, it just gave it up. But part of the downside is automation is that there's to stop from crushing boats. There's all sorts of CCTV there. By the way, there's the base for one of these the smash boards. And it wasn't even it had a little semaphore signal light, but the primary method of signaling was the smash board. I'll put if I can find the video, I'll put it in the chat if no one else has it so far. Did I check in on the chat? I bet I didn't. Any questions? Oh, yeah, there it is. Really neat video. Okay, here we go. I'm going to just cut off all this tree junk on the top there. Yes. So I'm up to, I have to take down an old tree in the yard tomorrow. I'm not taking it down. I got people to do it, but it's sad. It caught a blight and it just has to come down. At least I got a reasonable price on it. I'm sure the tree is as old as the house, so 80 plus years. Let's see what I can do here. That got it. Cool. Next, can't really do much here. In case you're wondering, like I said, that train that I had in that first set of photos, it was curving off. It would if it kept going, it would eventually get down to this location. This is at milepost 13 from Camden, so it's about 5 or 6 miles from Woodbury. And 3 left. Here we have one of Conrail's or CSX. I don't know who has the. It might be an NYC reporting mark, which would make it a CSX. Technically owns it. This is one of Conrail's pushing platforms. These are particularly useful on the NEC where you had to have a lot of pushing. So CSX would do this with caboose. Yeah, there it is. It's an NYC reporting mark, number 901028. And these were designed to prevent crews from having to ride cars for extended periods, like up to miles on the NEC. 901028. CSX does some too with cabooses, but they have to weld all the doors on the caboose up, or because there's a bunch of regulations about how you have to do caboose stuff that are still on the books because they are kind of dangerous. So if they weld all the doors up, they don't count as cabooses. They're just pushing platforms. And they don't have to like provide a bunch of safety stuff in them. Okay, we're finally at SMS lines. Stuff. I'm going to do these because I'm going to have an overcharge tomorrow anyway. So I'm going to try to get this out of the. I'm going to do these last couple. SMS Lines is known for its Baldwins. They probably have the largest fleet of Baldwins anywhere, like active Baldwins, because they use them. Their big thing is at the Pure Land Industrial Park. It's one of those things that goes to show that if you have a really top tier short line, they can really drum up a lot of traffic. And the guys, they have a steam locomotive that they've been restoring. They're going to be doing tourism lines on the old Salem branch. It just starts off with hustle. It's like a little mini Reading and Northern. So it's thank goodness that in railroading we tend, a lot of times you'll get naive people trying to run stuff, but the people trying to, I think that a lot of the enthusiasts that run even short lines, they tend to do a pretty good job just because they care. You can get tours, but because it's in the middle of an active chemical transloading facility, they have to be a lot more. The transloading wasn't there when we were there. And when they put the transloading in, you can't just walk up. They don't do walk-up tours anymore. They have to be a little bit more scheduled. They can do them, but they're a little bit more bureaucratic. And I haven't, unfortunately, when my NRHS chapter does them, I just haven't been available for them. I definitely need to. I've been trying to talk with people because I don't want to go by myself. I want to go with people. But they have this whole backlot full of Baldwins that they use for parts. They bought a lot from Erie Mining. And they have actually bought them from museums to keep their current fleet going. So these guys are the real deal here. I'm going to use my old names for this because good enough. Ugh. Snip off a bit there. And last two. Here we have a bunch of turbos and fuel tanks. Like, it's just everything. You need everything when you're trying to keep these things like Baldwins. These are Baldwin turbos. Man, like, those are... Talk about unobtainium. Baldwin turbos. Jeez, it's crazy. And Baldwin fuel tanks. But, just shows how much they care. We'll have more, and here's a singular Baldwin turbo. (1950s) turbo technology, pretty neat. Not sure how reliable they are compared to the EMD ones. I've heard those EMD turbos on the 567 D1s and D2s weren't the most reliable. But a lot of museums, and a lot of them were pulled off, which makes preservationists sort of hard to find intact examples of the engines, the 567s with the turbos. But like at Railroad Museum of PA, that GP30 there, they said it had an intact turbo, so there you go. Okie doke. That's going to be it. If you want to see anything like for next week, we got cool Baldwin diesels, more Baldwins. That's an EMD. That's not a diesel. That's not a thing at all. Lots of fun stuff next week, or not next week, tomorrow. So tomorrow, same bat channel. A lot of fun stuff. Tune back in. Should be good to go. Thank you so much. Sorry for the delays. Any questions? Yeah, I got to do that. Or I was waiting for that something from Pittston to Jim Thorpe. I definitely want to get photos in there. I was originally scheduled to be on a trip that went all the way from Reading to Pittston and back, but that got canceled. I did see a speeder run on it, so I know what signals are on that. I also want to get some closer views of them. So I'm going to do all sorts of stuff on that in the future. Anyway, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Again, see you tomorrow. Have a great day.